I fired my job April 1st, 2016 with no backup plan, without even making a dollar for myself as an entrepreneur. I went all chips in. And I'm glad that I went all chips in and took that bet on myself because I've made over 7 figures online in my business. My very first digital product did a little over 900K. So I'm gonna just tell you step by step how I fired my job because I fired them. I ain't no quitter. And I'm gonna just give you the exact blueprint that I use so you can use it. I didn't want to be another victim of the 40-40-40 scam. You know, work at least 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to retire off of 40% of your income. That logically doesn't make any sense to me. Like, most people can't live the life that they want to live now off of 100% of their income, but they think that they'll be able to live off of 60% less when they're older, and they can't really get jiggy anymore because their two-step is a little stiff. Like, that logically doesn't make any sense to me, and I've never seen anybody win and be successful with that actual plan. And it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to break down this blueprint of how I fired my job step by step. So if you don't have 5 minutes to spare, then you may just end up living a life for forever, waking up at a time that you don't want to wake up, to go to a place that you don't want to go to be around people that you don't want to be around, to do a job that you don't want to do every single day until you get old. And if that's the life that you want to live, feel free to click off of this video, but I know that that wasn't for me. And since a child, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, when I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but there was no word for it. Like, the word entrepreneur had obviously existed, but I had never heard it before. So the only example in my life that I had of people that I deemed to be entrepreneurs were drug dealers and this guy on the corner of Smith Street and Fifth Street in Lexington, Kentucky by the name of Mike. Because on the corner of Fifth and Smith in Lexington, Kentucky, there was a little corner store, and Mike owned the corner store. And every time you walked in, Mikey had good energy. He'd say, "Hey partner, hey partner, hey partner, hey partner." Mike would give me a free peach Faygo. He might give me a donut that's probably old, right? He might give me a pickle. He might let me get some Laffy Taffies for free or something like that. But to me as a little kid, I thought Mike was so cool because he owned the store on the corner. He owned the corner store. And I thought that he just had access to all this candy and snacks and pops and hot sausages and pickles, like, for free. But I knew that Mike worked for himself. Nobody told Mike what to do. And that's what I wanted to do for myself. I didn't know that that was called entrepreneurship. But I just know that looking at everybody that I viewed as a superhero in my life, I saw all my superheroes get defeated by a job. Think about it. Like, my pops, I thought my pops was Superman. Like, you couldn't tell me my pops couldn't whoop Superman. If Superman came down, swooped, stepped up to my pops is whooping Superman. My daddy's my hero. I saw a very creative person, a very creative man, an artist, just get, like, the life drained out of him by going to work at a job that he hated. I saw my mama be on call and have to go in at crazy hours just to work because the little beeper went off. She had to go into the hospital. We're sitting here, we're having a good time. Beep, beep, beep. Oh, I gotta go into work. Why do you have to go to work? Because I have to. Well, you're an adult, aren't you? I thought that when you grow up, you get to do whatever you want to do. That's the whole reason why I want to grow up, because I'm sick and tired of people telling me what to do. No, I gotta go to work. So I'm like, dang, the superheroes in my life don't get to run their life. Somebody else tells them what to do every single day. To me as a kid, that didn't make sense. I'm like, all the adults tell me that I have to do what they tell me to do because they're the adult. But then when they become an adult, other adults tell them what to do and they have nothing that they can say about it. It didn't make sense to my child mind, and it still doesn't make sense to me. Like, I thought growing up was supposed to be fun. Like, you actually got money to do stuff. You can pay for stuff. You can buy all the candy and the snacks and the chips that you want to. You can eat dessert for dinner if you want to, and nobody can say anything. That seems so cool. But I was like, why can't any of these people do it? Why are they waking up when they don't want to wake up? Why are they saying that they can't stay up so late because they have to go to bed so they can wake up in the morning to go somewhere that they don't want to go to? Doesn't make any sense. So I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, just didn't know what to call it. I remember teachers when I was a kid, they asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I said, I want to be the boss. I remember my teacher, Miss Sanders, my favorite teacher of all time, my second and third grade teacher. She was like, you want to be the boss? I said, yeah. She was like, the boss of what? I didn't know, right? I just knew that I didn't want a job. I said, I just want to be the boss. The boss of what? I said, I don't know. I'll be your boss. She said, the principal? I was like, no, I don't want to be a principal. I want to be whoever is the principal's boss. Like, I just knew that I wanted to run and control my life from a young age. So I knew that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I also had love for the sport of basketball, right? So I went to college to play basketball. But while I was in college, even though I never had any goals, any aspirations, any dream job outside of being an entrepreneur, I just didn't know what I was going to be in business for. But I was like, okay, while I'm here in school, let me at least learn about something that I think is going to benefit me in my entrepreneurial journey that I'm going to take in the future. So I'm like, okay, I need to learn about business. I remember it's time to pick your major. I went and I talked to this lady named Miss Terry. Never met my academic advisor. Thankfully, Miss Terry always got me together. And she was like, what do you want your major to be? I said, business. She said, that's too broad. I said, why is that too broad? I want to learn about business. She said, well, in the workforce, if you want to get a high-paying job, then you need to be known for something more specific. I said, okay, well, in these business degrees here, who gets paid the most? Even though I knew I didn't want a job. She said, marketing. I said, okay, sign me up for marketing. That's going to be my major. She said, well, that's not enough. You probably need to get a little bit more specific because marketing is pretty general also. I was like, well, what makes the most in marketing? She said, sales. I said, Miss Terry, sign me up. So I have a degree in professional marketing with the sales concentration. I learned absolutely nothing about marketing or sales in college. All that college taught me to do was drink liquor really, really fast. Taught me how to get drunk fast. Whoop-dee-doo. That's why I learned in college. All right, I credit, rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. I credit Nipsey Hussle for teaching me more about business than my college degree. But while I'm there in college, I'm like thinking that I'm going to be learning about business, but I'm learning about business from people that don't do business. Because if they were entrepreneurs, they wouldn't be sitting here and lecturing and teaching in this college. They would be running their own business. I'm like, if you were an entrepreneur and you really wanted to teach, why wouldn't you just like do a seminar or do pop-up events or make YouTube videos or something like that? Like, why are you here nonstop all day? You have a 9-to-5 job. And this would be a point of friction with my college professors. Because I raised my hand, Mr., Mrs., you're teaching this small business management class. Have you ever managed a small business? No. So you're just teaching from the book, basically. Do you take credit for attendance? Nah, you come to class if you want to. You ain't gonna tell my basketball coach that I don't come to class? No, that's you. You grown. Okay, this class is bullshit. I'm not coming to this class. I can learn this in the book. Certain classes, if they didn't take credit for attendance, or if it wasn't something to whereas I thought that I was gonna struggle and I needed that relationship with the professor, so when end of the year comes by, I'm like, hey man, I'm out here struggling. Like, you know, I'm your boy. I show up every single day. You know, C's get degrees. Why don't you go ahead and bump that up a little bit for your boy? All right, if it wasn't a situation like that, I wouldn't go to class. I would just show up on test days. I know one class, we only had a midterm and a final. That was it. Those are the only 2 days that I showed up for that class. I got a B. Like, I was like, this is bullshit. I want to be an entrepreneur. And everybody that's teaching about entrepreneurship and business are not entrepreneurs, do not have a business, and they just have a job. So they're teaching us to get degrees to go and get jobs. I don't want a job. Well, it comes time for me to get a job. I get my first job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, right? Because even though I still knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I didn't know what I was going to do yet. So I'm like, okay, in the meantime, what makes money in jobs? I have a marketing degree with a professional sales concentration. I'm thinking the people that I know that make money from what I know to be an entrepreneur, some of these, what can I call my guys? Because a lot of these guys are good dudes. Just picked the wrong profession. A lot of them have a great skill set also. I call them street pharmacists, right? So most of the entrepreneurs, like I said, outside of Mike at the corner store, they were street pharmacists. So I was like, okay, I know I don't want to go out here and be a street pharmacist, but I see that this is a big industry. Maybe I can just be in pharmaceutical sales legally with my degree. Called up one of my friends that was in the profession already, and he told me, since I have no sales experience, why don't I go and get a sales job? And if you work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, it'll look good on your resume to go and get a pharmaceutical sales job. I'm like, okay, I'll go and I'll do this. I'll go and I'll work at Enterprise, I'll get some sales experience, and then I'll go work in pharmaceutical sales. But I know that this is not my mission. I know that my mission is to be an entrepreneur, but I'm gonna do this in the meantime because I gotta pay some bills. Cool. Work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I worked there for exactly 1 year. I know I quit on my 1-year anniversary because they didn't give you vacation unless you had worked there for 1 year. So on my 1-year anniversary, while they were trying to promote me, I quit. And I had 2 weeks vacation. The reason why I quit is because it got to a point where the worst that it got there when I was working there, I worked like 70 hours in 1 week. So even though I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I was using being exhausted from my job as an excuse. Every single day I would come home, I would pass out on the couch, stank from sitting there washing cars in a suit all freaking day, fall asleep on the couch, wake up in the middle of the night at like 3:30 in the morning. Oh man, hop in the shower real quick, go to sleep, wake up, do the same thing over. So I use my physical exhaustion as an excuse on why I'm not figuring out how I can live the life that I need to live for myself. I was using that as an excuse for not building my dreams and helping the Taylor family build their dreams. Because if you didn't know, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they're a privately owned company, and this family called the Taylor family own it. So I'm like, I'm willing to exhaust myself mentally and physically for the Taylor family, but I'm not spending any of my energy, time, effort, money on myself and my dream, just building the Taylor family dream. So I was like, okay, if I'm using that as an excuse on why I'm not doing what I need to do, then I need to remove the excuse. I fired them and I went to work at a bank. The reason why I wanted to work at a bank, for one, because you have regular banker hours, right? You literally work 9 to 5. You literally work 40 hours per week. And anytime the bank is closed, you don't have to go to work. So any holiday, the bank is closed. Whereas when I worked at Enterprise, the only 2 holidays we got off were Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. Outside of that, you're working. Whereas over here at the bank, every single little itty bitty holiday, the bank's closed. Anytime the stock market is closed, the bank's closed also. So I was like, okay, well, I can get a lot of my time back, even though I'm probably gonna make less money as far as per check, because at Enterprise I was working so many hours. I was like, I'm cool with that because I'll figure out what it is that I want to do in business with all this extra time that I have, because I'm literally only going to be working a 40-hour week. And outside of that, the reason why I wanted to work at a bank, I strategically picked the location of the bank that I wanted to work at, because if they put me in a bank just in the middle of nowhere, or in a low income area, or in the hood or something like that, I wouldn't have wanted to go. I wanted to learn how money works. So they put me in a bank in a nicer area, in a maybe a little more affluent area of town, right? So I wanted to work there so I could learn what people with money do with money, while I'm figuring out for myself how I'm gonna make money. And also, in this bank location that I worked at, there was a lot of business owners that were there, right? There's a lot of businesses around the area, and they all would bank with the bank that I was working at for the most part. So I'm seeing all these people's accounts. Okay, what are they doing? What are they doing? Okay. But I noticed something. Almost another year had gone by, and I wasn't an entrepreneur. I'm like, okay, this is about to be 2 years, and I'm still building other people's dreams and not my own. Why am I not doing it? Before, I had the crutch and the excuse of working so many hours. Now I'm only working 40 hours. What's the problem now? I really had to sit down with myself and really go deep within and be like, what's the problem, man? Why aren't you doing what you say you want to do? I came up with a solution. It was a paycheck. I wasn't doing certain things that I knew that I needed to do because I had the comfortability of getting paid next Friday. I know I need to research this. I'm getting paid next Friday. I know I need to read this book. I'll read it next week because I'm getting paid this Friday. I know I need to make these calls. I know I need to do these cold calls. I know I need to send out this marketing. I'm getting paid next week. All right, so I knew that was my crutch now. So I knew that I had to remove the comfortability of a paycheck so I could do what it is that I said that I wanted to do. Now, this is just something about me. I'm not saying for you to go out and just fire your job like I did without having any money coming in. But I just know myself, and I look back at anything that I deemed as a success for myself, and everything that I accomplished that I view as a success. I had no other option. There was no other option. When I said that I wanted to play Division I college basketball, I had no scholarship offers. I decided to not go to school, and I recruited schools for a whole year. Everybody said that I was crazy, but I put myself in a position to where I gotta figure something out. Towards the end of the summer, somebody that had seen me play before the prior year at a camp saw some of the messages that me and my pops was sending out to everybody. He said, yeah, I know him. I thought he was in school. I got him right here ranked as he could go to a low, high major school to a mid-major school. Talented kid. Well, he's not at school. Well, if he can get to Tulsa, Oklahoma at Oral Roberts University to the top 50 junior college camp, the top 50 junior college prospects in the whole country, I'll let him be the 51st player. And if he's who I remember him to be, I guarantee you that he'll walk out with at least 10 scholarships. I said, bet, we there. My pops cashed this check. We drove from Kentucky to Tulsa, Oklahoma with a Cadillac that had a busted cylinder in the engine. Smoke came out the back. If you were in the city, black smoke came out the back. If you were on the highway, the smoke came out white. You really couldn't see it. Right? And me and my pops, we said that when I get a scholarship, the first one that offers, I'm taking it because of my situation. We're going to go get a bucket of chicken from KFC and celebrate. While I'm there, all the other kids, they're in the hotel. They're taking breaks in the hotel. They're going to eat and stuff, taking naps at the hotel. Me and my pops, he just cashed his check. We ain't had no money. I'm taking my naps in the backseat of the Cadillac. I'm going to the little concessions that they had for all the players where they had little Gatorades and chips and fruit and stuff like that. I'm taking that back to the car. That's what me and my pops is eating. Like, we put ourselves in a position to where we have no option but to make this work. Guess what? I killed that camp, got over the 10 scholarships that old boy said that I would get. I think I got about like 14 offers or something like that. No other option, gotta make it work. I have other similar stories to that on everything that I view as a success in my life, but I did the same exact thing with this. I was like, okay, I got to remove the comfortability of this paycheck because that's the only reason why I'm not doing what I need to do. I need to force myself to move. And right now, I don't feel forced because I know no matter what, as long as I walk in here and walk out, I'm going to be able to pay my rent. So I didn't just quit though, because a lot of people hear me say that I fired my job before I ever made $1 for myself as an entrepreneur. And that is true, but I put a plan together. So every day after work and on my lunch break, every day, I would go to this parking lot down the street, Chick-fil-A, and I would be putting my plan together every single day. And then there was this guy that was a customer of the bank. His name was Antonio. And every time Antonio needed some type of assistance or something, I'm looking at his accounts. He had fat accounts, right? But the money wasn't always staying in the accounts. He might would have $110,000 in this account. And then next week, that account only has $8,000 in it. This other account has $250,000. This account down here got $8,000. This account, I'm like, what does Antonio do? I'm like, he's somebody that I need to have a conversation with because he may have some information that could help me figure out what I'm going to do or how I can get out of this job that I hate so much. And when I say hate, I mean it. Like, outside of me wanting to be an entrepreneur, it was a detriment to my health and my well-being because I hated it. Like, I would physically get sick to my stomach with the thought of going into work. I'm not exaggerating about that. I'm somebody that will think myself sick. I can worry myself sick. And I would literally throw up just thinking about going into work. I would have to set my alarm an extra 90 minutes early just to give myself a buffer to brush my teeth. Because some mornings I'm hating going into work. The thought about it, that when I'm brushing my teeth, sometimes I would gag and then I would throw up. Just with the thought of going into work, to be around people that I don't want to be around, doing something that I don't want to do with a micromanager named Dale that looks just like what you would assume a Dale looks like. Glasses with these beady eyes and his pants pulled all the way up to his titties. I'm like, what are you working on? I'm working on what you told me to work on. Then come back 10 minutes later. What are you working on? The same shit that you told me to work on 10 minutes ago. Like, I hated it. So I noticed one time when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Antonio's accounts, one of his accounts is titled Wildcat something. I'm like, Wildcat something? That's an odd name to have for this account, Wildcat. And I'm from Kentucky Wildcat. So one day, it's just in passing, I was like, hey, Antonio, you a Kentucky fan? He said, no. Why do you ask? I said, oh, I just noticed one of your accounts here says Wildcat something, and I'm from Kentucky. He's like, oh, yeah, that's some commercial real estate that I own in Kentucky. It's a strip mall. He said, you're from Kentucky? I said, yeah. And then we started chopping it up. That's the most conversation I've had outside of hi and bye. And then from that, the next time he came around, since he knew that I was from Kentucky, he was talking about, hey, you see the Kentucky game? Yeah. Then I asked him if we could go to lunch. He said, yeah. When I went to lunch with Antonio, nice guy, cool guy, Mexican guy too, which was another motivator for me also. Because I'm like, man, this guy, he's figuring it out for himself, and he's an immigrant. Like, he's not even from here. Like, I believe that he moved here as an adult also. I could be wrong about his story, but still, that was really inspiring to me, because there's not a lot of people from where I'm from in Antonio's situation that had made it to the point of certain successes, right? I'm just talking about financial stuff here and business stuff here, right? But I'm sitting there with Antonio, and I'm telling him that I'm sick of it. I want to fire my job, and I had already made the decision to do it, which is big. You got to make a decision, and most people haven't made a decision to actually better themselves. They keep on hoping. I made a decision. I made a date for myself, April 1st, 2016. No matter what happens, that's the day that I'm firing my job. And I wanted to save up a year's worth of salary before I fired my job, but I was having trouble to get to that point of income because I wasn't making any money for myself outside of my job. And then saving up that amount of money, like I wanted to have like 35, like at least $35,000. And I was, it was hard. Like really, no, I think I wanted to have $40,000, but it was hard saving up that money. But when I sat down with Antonio, at first he tried to talk me off the ledge. He told me to wait up, save up some more money. But at the time I had about $20,000 saved up. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm done. April 1st. He's like, okay, well, since you're already going to make that decision, I can't talk you out of it. Here's what I suggest that you do. He asked me how was my credit. At the time, my credit score was high. He said, all right, well, go and get a few credit cards. And I was like, why? And he was like, if you're an entrepreneur and if you ever did need any funding for anything, no bank will mess with you until you're actually making some money or you've been in business for at least 2 years. So go and get some credit cards right now, just in case you fall on your ass, and you'll have some credit cards to where you can land on instead of falling on your ass. Those credit cards will be in your back pocket, and you can finance your life off of the credit cards until you figure it out. And he said that even if I got to that point, to that low, and say I wrecked my credit, he's like, it's not a death sentence. Your credit can always be repaired and restored. And typically people that are making money have good credit, right? So it's like, yeah, once you start making money, if you ever get to that point, you'll be able to fix your credit. I was like, all right. So I went and I got some credit cards. So I had $20,000 saved up, and I think I had about $20,000 in credit cards, or more than $20,000 in credit cards. Thankfully, I didn't have to use those credit cards for anything, but I'm thankful for just that little gem. And I'm somebody that throughout my journey, I'm not somebody that's pro going out and getting lines of credit and going out and acquiring debt or loans or anything like that. But that was just a gem that he gave me. I'm thankful for Antonio for that. And then one day, I was in the car with my best friend at the time. And I thought that he was one of the most successful friends in my friend group because he had a house, he had a nice car, he had a motorcycle. Then instead of the motorcycle, he had one of those, I don't know what they're called, but they had the 3 wheels, the 2 wheels in the front, the 1 wheel in the back. He had get-togethers and house parties and cookouts all the time over at his place. He would be paying for everything. He had a nice studio in his house because he did music also. I'm thinking like, man, he's got some stuff figured out. And I was in the car with him one day and I was like, bro, I'm thinking about firing my job, but I've been trying to save up this money, but I don't got enough. He was like, man, how much money you got? I said, man, I only got $20,000. He looked at me and he's driving. I'm surprised, like he drove straight. Cause he looked over. He was like, you got $20,000? I was like, yeah, man, that's all I got. He's like, lie again, you really got $20,000? I was like, yeah, that's all I got, $20,000. Because in my mind, I didn't know that $20,000 was a lot of money to the normal everyday person working a job every single day and just walking around. Because remember, the only entrepreneurs that I had been around outside of Mike from the corner store when I was a kid were street pharmacists. And I know of certain people that would literally just go and take a trip to Miami and over the weekend just blow $10,000, $15,000. So I'm like, I know people that literally carry this around in their pockets, and that's all that I have to my name right now. I didn't realize that I had more money than the regular working everyday 9-to-5er. And when I saw how shocked he was that I had $20,000 when I thought that he was one of my most successful friends in my friend group, I was like, you don't got $20,000? He said, shit, no. He said, I ain't got nowhere near $20,000. Right then, I was like, oh, I'm for sure quitting April 1st. Because I was like, if he don't got what I got, I'm actually in a better position than he is. And that's when I came to the realization, oh, you can't judge nobody for what you think that they got. Because a lot of times they don't got it. They just got a lot of bills. And my overhead was very low. And he was asking me how I saved up all that money. I was like, man, my rent is low. I don't have a car payment. You know, I don't have any debt. I don't eat out. I had set a $10 a week lunch budget for myself. Yeah, man, I was serious about this. $10 a week. I remember my lunch every single week. I would go and get, and I don't know, looking back on it, I don't know why I chose Chef Boyardee, but I would go get a bunch of cans of Chef Boyardee and I would try to mix it up. Here I would get the ravioli, then I would get the SpaghettiOs, and I get the spaghetti and meatballs, and I get some alphabet stuff, thinking that it's different. Guess what? That shit is nasty for one, and they're all the same. like all that stuff tastes the exact same. But I would get cans of Chef Boyardee. I would get some type of cheap fruit, typically grapes or bananas or something like that. And then I would get some lemon cookies. Like, think of that big old tray of lemon cookies like an old person used to have, that you can get 1,017 cookies for $3 or $2. Like, I get a big old tray of lemon cookies, and that would be my lunch every single week. I had a $10 a week lunch budget because I'm like, yo, I need to save and stack every single dollar that I have so I can buy my freedom. Because I know I live in America and freedom is for sale every single day. Most people just aren't willing to pay for it. I was. So I had $20,000 saved up. I had some credit cards. And I had the confidence in knowing that I was in a better position than everybody else around me. And a lot of people think that they want to fire their job, but it's just a pipe dream. They don't ever actually take the time to plan it out and think, what do I actually need to do? I had my freedom number, right? My initial freedom number that I thought was $40,000. So I was like, okay, this is my freedom number. Once I hit that, I'm gone. But then once I realized that the guy that I thought was successful didn't even have half of what my freedom number was, my freedom number changed. Oh, I got my freedom number right now. I already done set the date, April 1st. I'm gone, right? And when I fired my job, like I said, I had never made a dollar for myself as an entrepreneur, but I got started in this small niche in real estate. It's something that I thought that I could do. And people get inspired when I tell them that the first check that I made for myself as an entrepreneur was $16,500. People see the big money, or what they think is a lot of money, a 5-figure check, right? A lot of people haven't seen a 5-figure check all at once. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But I fired my job April 1st, 2016. I didn't get that $16,500 check until around the middle of October. So that's 6 months, 6.5 months where I didn't make a dollar for myself. And then people hear me tell a story about how I got a check for $16,500. They're like, oh, that's great. Oh man, you killing it. But if you stretch that out over the 6 months, the 6.5 months, that's around $2,700 a month. That's not killing the game. But all throughout that time though, I was consistently working on something every single day. And the only marketing that I was doing for myself at the time was cold calls and sending out mail in the mail, physical mail to people, seeing if they were interested in selling their house. So I could get in under contract to purchase, and then I would basically flipping that contract to a real estate investor, a house flipper, a landlord, something like that. I would flip my contract to them for a fee, right? And I was just making these calls, literally hundreds of calls each day, and sending out thousands of pieces of mail with my savings. Mail doesn't sound like much, but When you're sending out thousands of pieces of mail, just think about what the cost of a stamp costs, and I'm sending out thousands of pieces of mail each week. It starts to add up. Like I'm bleeding cash. But throughout that time, I'm learning certain things. I'm learning how to speak to people. I'm learning how to negotiate, to sell, which at the bank, I sold the bank's products, and at Enterprise, I sold their products. Right? A lot of people don't realize that the rental car industry, it's 100% sales. That's why I went there to work, to try to get some sales experience for a pharmaceutical sales job. I was winning trophies, sales trophies, every single month. They weren't paying me no money, but once a month, I would get to work a half day, go to some award ceremony where they would give me these trophies and stuff literally every single month like clockwork. Something that I wish that I paid more attention to, which I highly advise you to do, is I wish that I paid more attention to how the job ran. As far as management, all that type of stuff, systems, accounting, I wish that I paid more attention to that. Because my first job at Enterprise, how they brainwash the employees, like they say, hey, if you hit all these sales numbers, then you'll get to assistant manager, then you'll get to manager, and you'll have your own store. And they brainwash these managers into thinking that it's their store. It's not. It's the Taylor family store. You don't own this stuff. But there's a formula to where it's the managers get paid off of the success and the profits of the store, so they can actually make more money the more profitable that they make the branch. But I wish that I paid more attention to that whole business model and to how they manage stuff, so I would know more how to manage my stuff on my own. But something that I did learn was sales. Something that I did learn was marketing. Something that I did learn was how I don't want to do sales, because they taught a bunch of shady sales tactics, just like at the bank taught a bunch of shady sales tactics. But I was hitting numbers doing everything the opposite of what I was told and taught to do. And then everybody will be wondering, yo, how are you getting all these sales? I'm like, well, I'm being honest with people. I'm educating them about the product, and I'm letting them make a sound decision with the new education that they have that they formerly didn't have. I still do that to this day. I don't like a lot of the things that go on and happen in the digital marketing world. So I'm like, I'll just do the same thing that I did back then, do the same thing I did at Enterprise, do the same thing that I did at the bank, do the same thing that I did for myself when I first got started in that small niche in real estate. Educate somebody, let them know that I have a solution to the problem, and let them make the decision as a logical next step, because it is a logical next step, because I've already isolated the problem, addressed the situation, educated them on how they can fix the problem, and then let them know that I have what they need for sale. It's an easy decision. So I'm stacking all these skills along the way, and a lot of people aren't thinking about the things that they do right now, how they can apply to them in something that they actually want to do for themselves. Like I'm sitting there, I'm talking to people all day, every day. Just like when I'm working on the phones each and every single day, I was talking to people all day, every day. When I went out on appointments, I'm talking to people all day, every day. Now I'm making content, digital products, digital marketing and whatnot, making YouTube content. I'm sitting here, I'm talking to people each and every single day. Something that helped me all my life. I've seemed to always been able to make people laugh, make people giggle. That's a plus. When I was a kid and when I was in high school and stuff, I'm like, oh, outside of me being handsome, the girls like to laugh. You can get the prettiest girl if you can just make her laugh. A lot of people don't realize that. Learned that as a man as well. Dudes come up trying to flex their money and their car and all this type of stuff. Man, if you just make that girl laugh, if you get her to giggle a little bit, boy, you stupid, you so dumb. You got her. But I learned that was something that helped me out, not only in school and relationships with the tough guys, the street people, they was always cool with me. The weirdos, the nerds, they was cool with me. The chess club, the band kids, they was cool with me. The athletes, they was cool with me, right? Outside of the fact that I'm just a laid back dude, make people laugh. I'm like, oh, that's a plus in life. That's something that helped me at Enterprise. That's something that helped me at the bank. That's something that helped me in entrepreneurship. That's something that helps me with content. That's a plus that I have. But a lot of people wouldn't see that as a superpower. And everybody has their own certain superpowers that they are just letting lie dormant, when that can be something that can separate you from the pack. You're super analytical, dive deep into that. You're very imaginative, dive deep into that. You're super logical, dive deep into that. Like, everybody has something that they've been doing since a kid that they don't know could like help them in business as well. But I just started to realize over the years I'm stacking all these skills. But it started with me having a plan of first coming up with a freedom number and then actually working backwards instead of just running around like a chicken with my head cut off right now, which is what most people are doing. That's why they can't ever get to any goal, because they don't even know what the target is. I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday in my community on our coaching call. They were telling me that they wanted to, fire their job, right? They're feeling miserable right now. I was like, okay, well, we got to reverse engineer. I was like, let's just say if your set target is $10,000 a month and you have a $100 offer, well, then we know that you need to get 100 people per month to buy that $100 offer. All right, well, now we need to talk about conversions, because how many people do you need to get to land on your landing page, on your sales page? Well, if we know that you get this much traffic, and let's say that you have a 3% conversion on your landing page, then we can actually move the numbers around and start to move with a strategy instead of just creating content and throwing it up and crossing your fingers and hoping that you get some sales. You got to actually know where it is that you're headed so you can reverse engineer. Nobody does that. They always just start where they are now and just go. But they don't do that in any other aspect of their life, but they do that with their goals. They do that with their business. They do that with their financial endeavors. Think about it. If I sit here and I go to the store, I know where I'm going. I don't just hop in my car and hope that I get somewhere nice. No, you either mentally know where you're going so you can get there, or you put the address in your GPS. You always start at the end. And when you start at the end and then work your way back, guess what? That GPS, no matter what is happening on the street, it's going to get you to your destination. Oh, there's a car wreck here. Oh, we're going to take this road. Oh, this road is closed due to construction. Oh, we're going to go over here. Tree done fell here. We're going to go over here. But you're still going to get to where you're headed. But I knew that I could do more. And I knew that little kid did not dream of growing up being a man that can't do what he wants to do. I know that little kid did not dream of growing up and being a man that has to go to sleep because somebody else told him that you got to be here by this time. I know that little kid wouldn't think that that's cool. And that's why I tap into my inner child all the time. I call it time traveling. Whenever I'm making big decisions, I time travel and I go back in time and I check in with my former self. I check in with my inner child. I'm like, yo, would you be proud to be this person? Would you be proud to turn into this man? If this decision will make him proud, I'll do it. A lot of people forgot who it is that they really are and what it is that they actually want. They started being realistic. I'm like, man, fuck all that realistic shit. It's all these miserable people that are saying being realistic. It's all the people that have a childlike energy that's out here doing the stuff that they actually want to do. I don't want to be realistic. I'll stay here living in my world. Then when I time travel also, I'll go to the future and I'll check in to see and ask him if this decision that I'm making is making me closer to you or pulling me away from where you are. That's how I make any big decisions in my life. A lot of people think that it's weird, but I let them think that it's weird. Stuff works for me. But throughout this whole process, something that I started to notice, because I ended up building another jail cell for myself that I hated, because I started to wake up hating what I was doing each and every single day as an entrepreneur as well. And it sucked. It might have sucked more than when I worked at a 9-to-5 job, because I had nobody else that I felt like I could blame, even though everything's my fault. When I had a job, I could sit there and be like, man, F you, Dale, with your pants all the way up to your titties and beady little eyes with them glasses and the nose and what are you working? What are you working on? What are you working on? If you can tell, I don't like Dale, but I could still say, this Dale's fault. That's my coworker's fault. That's their fault. Even though it's my fault, because they didn't come and snatch me out my bed and sit me here. I filled out the paperwork. I went to the interview. I went to the second interview. I signed on, said, yeah, I want the money. Like, it's my fault. I sit here. But then as an entrepreneur, I'm like, man, I hate what I'm doing right now. And I don't got nobody else that I could maybe try to point the finger at. All the fingers are right here. And since I hated that niche in real estate that I was in, because it was a grind, like a grind, physically, mentally, like I've never grinded at anything so hard in my life to get compensated for so little. Like, it was tough, and I hated it. But I was like, okay. People were asking me how to do this thing every single day, though. And I realized that I wasn't even like what I saw as super successful. Like, it wasn't like I was getting consistent money. At the time, I was maybe making $3,000 to $5,000 a month. But there were a bunch of people that didn't know how to make $3,000 to $5,000 per month. So I started to do consultation calls. And I was charging money for the calls. Looking back on it, it's crazy how little I would charge for the calls. But I was like, oh, people are paying me for my information. And people were pretty much asking the same questions over and over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Something else that I view as one of my superpowers is I'm very observant. A lot of people think that I'm smart, but I honestly don't consider myself that smart. I consider myself very observant, and a lot of people just are not aware. I'm aware. So I started to recognize certain patterns. I'm like, okay, every time I get on the phone, people are asking pretty much the same question, and I'm just sitting there saying the same stuff over and over and over and over again. Then also I was getting so many calls to whereas it was like, man, I'm just on the phone all day. And that's not something that I enjoy. So I was like, how about I just take my information, put it all in this digital product, and then instead of getting on the call, I can just be like, here, just click and buy this and download it and get everything answered. That was my first digital product that did a little over $900,000. Some stuff that I had just already been doing. And that's when I realized that, oh, same thing as in everything that I've been doing from the 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. If I have a solution to a problem, I can sell the solution to people that have the problem. And that can be literally anything. And that was a way for me to also get out of that business in real estate because I hated it. And just the way that I am, I don't want to make money leading people into something that I hate, right? Like, I want to wake up and feel good about myself. Everybody's not like that. A lot of people, a lot of people are coming to mind right now, but they'll just get any dollar that they can. I'm not like that. So this was the origins of what I'm doing now, because I realized that if you know how to do anything that somebody's willing to pay to learn how to do, you can sell it. And I realized this: everybody has a business within. Everybody can answer yes to these two questions, and I haven't met anybody that's said no to these yet. The first one is, has anybody ever asked you how to do something? It can literally be anything. Hey sis, remember when you did that? How'd you do? Hey bro, remember when you... Everybody has something. And then secondly, have you ever seen anybody else getting paid for the same exact thing that somebody's asked you how to do? You have. The question is, why aren't you getting paid for it like they are? You don't understand branding, you don't understand marketing, you don't understand sales. That's the separator. And When I tell this to people, my homegirl actually, my friend's wife, I was telling her this. She was like, well, I don't really know how to do anything. All I do is like, I do little crafts at home and I'm like Susie Homemaker type. Like, who would pay to learn how to do that? I said, well, Martha Stewart basically became a billionaire off of that. Like, if Martha Stewart didn't get jammed up those years ago, like, she would be one of those super duper duper billionaires right now. Like, that's how she did it. Not saying that she will become Martha Stewart, but that shows that there's an industry for it. Another one, my homegirl, she knits like as a hobby. I was telling her this. I met somebody in the airport in the Delta Lounge. She makes 7 figures per year teaching other people how to knit. I was at a networking event. Met somebody that said that they make on a low end $40,000 to $70,000 a month teaching people how to walk dogs. There's people that sell their information on how to play John Madden, the football game, the video game. Like, it's such a great time to be alive because you can literally make money and create it out of thin air. Like, there's always this big value bubble just hovering around people that's invisible and they just can't see it. And all you have to do is look up and recognize it and pop that bad boy. And there's a business within right there. And you don't need large audiences. You don't need to have hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers and followers and all that type of stuff. If you just have your 1,000 true fans, you can build such a strong business. 1,000 True Fans is this article that I read that changed my life. I actually found it in this book behind me. I don't recommend that you read this book behind me because it's a pretty thick book. But it has this excerpt in here where this guy named Kevin Kelly has this little article called 1,000 True Fans. If you just Google it, you can find it. It's readily available for free on the internet. But I discovered it in this book. And basically the concept of the 1,000 True Fans is if you can get 1,000 people to pay you $100 a year, you have your $100,000 business, right? So I just took the concept of that and I was like, oh, if you just take that concept, you can move the numbers around to fit whatever it is that your target is, right? So say if you wanted to make $30,000 a month, well, you would only need 300 people. If you wanted to make 20, you would only need 200 people at those numbers, right? Like, you could skew the numbers. You have something higher available, move the numbers around to make it work for what you want to hit. If you have something less expensive available, move the numbers, but the concept of it. I was like, oh, this is crazy. And I've seen all these people with these micro niche channels on YouTube making more money than people that have like millions of subscribers and millions of followers. Came across this one guy that had like 5,000 subscribers and he was making $30,000 a month with a YouTube channel that has 5,000 subscribers. He's now making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Still has a small YouTube channel. But he realizes that he doesn't need to have all the followers. He needs to isolate a problem in the marketplace and only serve those people that have that problem. Only make the content for those people that have that problem. Educate them and show them that he has a solution for them. They'll take it because it's a logical next step. And people buy things from people that they know, like, and trust. No different than when I worked at Enterprise, no different than when I worked at the bank, no different when I was doing stuff in real estate, no different to when I got started in digital marketing and started to monetize my knowledge and my brain. It's all the same. I'm going to the movies tomorrow. One of my things that I love to do in life is go to the movies. Love everything about it. I love the popcorn and the fake butter and all this stuff. I just wish that my theater had another type of water than Aquafina, but I get it because they probably have all Coke products or something. But I hate that when I open the water at the movies, it says tss, and it sounds like a pop, because water shouldn't sound like that. Water shouldn't tss when I open it. But I need something to wash down the popcorn. But I go there because I know, like, and trust them. Little rinky-dink theater, but I enjoy it, like the people, all that type of stuff. Same thing for their business. They're staying alive in a time where theaters are struggling, and they really should be struggling because it's a super small theater, but people know, like, and trust it. They like their experience. They like that they can go and make their own popcorn because they have a little button and the popcorn just comes out. Then they have another little button where the butter comes on the popcorn. Nobody makes it for you, hands you the whole popcorn, and then you just have to put the butter on the top. Like, you can put in a little bit of popcorn, put some butter, then put in a little bit of popcorn, put some butter, then put a little bit of popcorn, put some butter. Like, you have perfectly buttered popcorn. All right, but they're not focused on everybody because there's a bigger theater down the street. But they are still open and they still have a solid customer base. But I'm telling you, the game is learn the skill and sell the skill. Everybody whose content that you watch, that is what they're doing. Everybody. And everybody is selling a digital product. Some may call it something different, but they're all digital products. An ebook, digital product. A course, a digital product. A community, a digital product. A mastermind, a digital product. If the deliverable of it is digital, it's a digital product. Just some things are called differently. A software, digital product. A white labeled software, digital product. All digital products. So the reason why I see a lot of people out here struggling is because they're not observant. Like I said, one of my skills is being aware and observant. And I've realized through that most people aren't aware because they don't observe anything that's happening in broad daylight right in front of them. You sit here and you consume this content all day for hours, but you don't do what anybody in the content does. And then you wonder why you struggle. And what you don't do that everybody that you consume content does is that you don't make content. You have nobody to consume anything of you. You just consume everybody else's stuff. And then you wonder why they can sell stuff and you can't. Because they're building their influence, which will build their impact, which will build their income. You need to create and not just consume. That's the difference. Everybody's out here making content because they have something to sell. Why aren't you? You're watching everybody else's content that is selling stuff from the content. Why aren't you? Everybody. Somebody's giving away that freebie. They're giving away that freebie because they're selling something to their email list. Why aren't you? People are attending these free webinars and these free masterclasses. Why are they giving away the free webinars and the free masterclasses? So they can sell something off of it to monetize. Why aren't you? People are doing these challenges, these events, these 2-day, 3-day, 5-day events and whatnot, challenges and whatnot. You attend them to learn. Well, why don't you learn and do what they're doing and talk about some of the stuff that you know about? Talk about some of the stuff that you know how to do so somebody can buy something from you. One of my best friends is in film production and he watches content nonstop from this guy that talks about film production. And he wants to do similar things as him. I said, well, why don't you do what he's doing? Oh, I am. Yeah, in this video, he said that. I said, no, I ain't talking about that. He makes videos about film production. Why don't you make videos about film production? Like, it's plain as day right there, and nobody wants to do it. And everybody thinks that it's so competitive and that it's saturated and whatnot. And that's one of the excuses on why they don't get started. But everything is saturated. Everybody's doing pretty much the same thing in any aspects in life. That doesn't stop the winners from doing it. If I see that something is saturated, I see that as an opportunity to make money. Because everybody's probably doing it for a reason. Why would I try to go and find what absolutely nobody's doing? Probably nobody's doing it for a reason because ain't no money to be made over there. So I'm gonna come over here with all this competition and all this saturation and I'm gonna carve out my niche. And I know that I can carve out my niche because I'm unique and people buy things from people that they know, like, and trust. There could be somebody else out there that says the exact same information as me. It's not gonna be consumed the same from you. Why? Because I talk how I talk and they talk how they talk. It's no different than, have you ever gave somebody some advice and they didn't listen to you? And then somebody else told them the same exact thing that you told them. And then they run back to you talking about how they just learned some stuff because so-and-so over here told them this. Oh, so-and-so just gave me some great. You like, man, I told you to do that 2 months ago. Why did they listen to so-and-so and not you? Because they heard the same message differently than how you communicated it. So I know that I'm always going to be able to find my way and carve my space, because the way that I talk, other people aren't going to talk like me. Other people aren't going to deliver the information like me. Other people aren't going to translate it like me. Other people don't get what I got. And that's my superpower, and that's your superpower. You are you. The chances of you being you are around 1 in 400 trillion. The chances of you being born are around 1 in 400 trillion. You realize how many things had to go right in the universe for you to even exist? That uniqueness is the superpower. Like I said, I'm going to the movies tomorrow. If you look at any movie, they're not making new movies. They're all pretty much the same. Sprinkle in a little different twists and stories and whatnot. But Finding Nemo and Taken are the same as that movie. Finding Nemo, dad lost his kid, goes on a voyage and a journey to find his kid. Taken, dad loses his kid, goes on a journey and voyage to find the kid. What's the difference? Over here, he's running from sharks and dangers or fish and whatnot in the ocean. Over here, dad goes and kills a bunch of people. But the basis of the stories are the same. Whoever made Taken wasn't like, this story's been told before. We finding Nemo over there. We can't make a story about a parent losing a child and going on a journey to save the child. Man, that's been done so many times. We can't do that. But then people be out here thinking that they can't talk about their health journey because other people are out here making health content. You got it backwards. And something that really, really pains me is that people are willing to build other people's dreams instead of their own. And that people don't have the patience and the stick-to-itiveness to stick with their dreams, stick with their goals, and stick with their aspirations because they want instant success. But you ain't found no instant success at that job. But you're committed to show up every single day. But you won't show up for yourself for 2 hours on a Saturday. You won't show up for yourself for an hour and a half on a Sunday. But you'll show up for them every single day with no qualms. Hey, on time. Hey, okay, let me clock out. On time, let me clock back in. On time, let me help. Oh, okay. And you're not in a rush to get rich from that. But then all of a sudden in your business, if you don't get rich tomorrow, it doesn't work. But you'll be sitting there and you'll be willing to watch a TV show that you don't even like at first. But you hear somebody else tell you, just wait, it gets good. Oh, when does it get good? You gotta wait till episode 4. So you'll sit there and just watch some slow stuff and just keep on watching it because you heard somebody else say it's gonna get better. But then when somebody else tells you that whatever it is that you wanna do, if you just stick with it and make a decision, cut off all other options, that it gets better. Like, how long it's gonna take? You ain't say that for that TV show. You got more faith in the TV show than you do yourself. Why is that? Nobody else can answer that but you. Now, I'm not sitting there and telling you just to fire your job with no backup plan, no plan B like I did, but I'm very self-aware. Like I said, awareness is one of my superpowers. And I know me, I won't do what I need to do if I don't have any other option but to do it. But I know that that's me. So don't get done watching this video and be like, all right, I'm quitting my job tomorrow because Aston CEO said so. And then stuff don't work out for you and then it turns into a fuck Aston's hate train out there. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to be self-aware about you and really do some inner work and ask yourself, why are you doing what everybody else wants you to do without any qualms, without any pushback, you do it. But then the stuff that you claim you want to do, you come up with all these excuses. Year after year after year goes by, week after week, month after month. Now it's done been 6 years. You said that you was been gonna do it. Like, why is that? Nobody can answer that for you except for you. You have to do the inner work to figure out why. And then I highly suggest that you stop making choices and start making a decision. I don't have choices. Choices have options. I draw a line in the sand. I'm willing to die behind that decision. This is what I'm doing. April 1st, 2016, this is what I'm doing. Put a date on it. When are you going to fire your job, if that's what you want to do? Calculate your freedom number and put a plan together on what it is that you're going to do to get to that freedom number, and don't let anything sidetrack you. And then have some faith, have some conviction in yourself, and do it. You can do it. Everybody else out here did it. The only difference between the people that are full-time entrepreneurs and the people that are not is that the full-timers believe in themselves and say that I have no other option but to make it work, where the people that haven't done it quit. That's the main separator. Not the main separator, that's the only separator. That's the only separator in life. Are you gonna do it, or are you gonna not do it? What one of my mentors tells me, he says, no lip wrestling. You gonna lip wrestle or you gonna do it? I used to tell him, I'd be like, hey man, I don't know if I can. He said, you lip wrestling. Ain't no back and forth. You gonna do it or you not gonna do it? It's a simple yes or no. What you gonna do? You say yes, okay, this is what you're gonna do, figure it out. And when you tell your subconscious brain this, it starts to move in different ways, and you start to look at problems, and you actually start to think of solutions instead of just sitting there and just thinking like, oh, this is the way that it is. You start to see that you can push something in here and get something out. You start to see that you have some control. You start to see that you don't just have to exist. Like, you can make life happen. You can create your own world. Just wherever you are right now, just look around. Look around, look at whatever device that you're holding right now. Like, seriously, just look around right now. Your entire existence was somebody else's idea. That person was just a human just like you are. And I'm like, why can't I come up with an idea to whereas I can have some input on all these surroundings right here? Because this was all somebody's idea. And all that I have to focus on is isolating a problem in the marketplace for somebody, coming up with a solution to that problem, and then educating and selling that solution to that person with that problem. Something that I've done since day one online is that I've just fixed my own problems, and I've sold the solutions to my own problems to people that have the problems that I have overcame. That's simple. I've just chose the business lane because that's something that I enjoy. I love marketing, right? Like, this is something I've been entrenched by since a kid. I just didn't know certain words to it. Like, when I started to see the rappers and stuff, like, as I got older, like, my feelings felt hurt when I realized that DMX didn't own Rough Riders. I'm like, man, I thought all these rappers were so cool, but y'all got jobs. I thought they own, as hard as they rep these record labels and stuff, I'm thinking that they own the joints. I'm like, man, DMX is a worker? Sorry, he throwing up the double R's and all that stuff. I'm like, DMX is a worker? And they ain't the only one that really own this joint out here is Jay-Z? Oh, okay, he's cool. But it all starts with starting at the end and then working your way backwards. So, have a destination. Where are you headed? Put that plan together. Get your freedom number together. All this content that you consume. Implement what it is that they say. And then you start to create content just like what they do. And if you do these 3 things, I promise it'll change your life, because it changed my life. Work in public, teach everything you know, and create every day. If you do that, it's going to be hard to not find success along the way. But You got to get started, and you got to be a producer more so than a consumer, because it's only the producers that win. I'm not saying that you can't consume, but you can't only consume. You got to produce, and you got to put something into the world that didn't exist yesterday. And that's how you get numbers coming in online in your business, like all them that you see on the screen right now. And if you're ready to make more working less online from stuff that you already know, go ahead and click the link down in the description and join this accredited top community. For personal coaching from myself, all my exclusive trainings, plus a private community and entrepreneurs, all designed to grow your business online. It's only a few bucks a day to join right now, literally less than a cup of coffee per day. So go ahead and click the link down in the description to tap in, and I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. But it's a simple decision. As simple as that sounds, it's a decision. Are you going to do this, or are you not going to do this? Just like how most people that are living the life that they don't want to live make that simple decision every day. Am I going to go to work, or am I not going to go to work? They make that decision every single day, and they say yes to going to work. Am I going to get in the car and go to the store, or am I not? You make that decision every day. Am I going to sit here and work on my business, or am I going to sit on the couch and watch Netflix? You make that decision to sit on Netflix. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop going back and forth, and start doing the things that you said that you are going to do. And once you start doing the things that you said that you are going to do consistently, it is going to be hard to not find success. So go ahead and click the link down in the description if you want to tap into the community. And I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. And go ahead and check out this video right here for 3 tiny digital products that are guaranteed to sell. It's credited at the top.